At the start of the movie, we see Clint, a middle-aged man in his coffin. The worst part is he is buried alive in a grave and is trying desperately to exit it. Then we are taken into a flashback to a few days ago at a construction site where Clint, a successful contractor, calls his wife, Joanna, expressing his sadness about her weekend departure. Clint promises to finish work early to see her off, but Joanna seems annoyed by this. While returning home, Clint is stopped by Sheriff Sam, a local lawman who happens to be Clint's best friend. The sheriff invites him to go fishing, to which he agrees, saying that he can accompany him as Joanna will not be at home this weekend. Following their brief conversation, Clint speeds toward home. Upon arriving, he lets Duke, their yelping dog, out of his crate. However, Joanna doesn't appear pleased to see him and confirms she got his message. She mentions having to leave early for a doctor's appointment. Clint shares that a buyer offered him a hefty sum of $1.5 million to buy his business, but he decided against selling. Although Joanna acknowledges it's a lot of money, Clint questions what they would do if he sold the business. Joanna angrily suggests going back to New York. Their argument escalates, and Clint asserts that he left New York to create a better life for them. An unhappy Joanna leaves in her light blue car, leaving Clint in despair. Clint and the sheriff head out on a fishing trip, providing Clint with a chance to share his troubles. Unbeknownst to Clint, Joanna has fallen into the arms of her doctor, Cortland, who tempts her with dreams of a lavish future in Beverly Hills. Their plot thickens as Cortland reveals a deadly toxin extracted from fish ovaries, designed to induce a fatal heart attack. Together, they scheme to kill Clint, take over his company, and ensure he consumes every drop of the lethal substance. Back at home, Joanna searches for the poison in her purse, causing an accidental spill. She discreetly hides the leaking vial in the laundry basket, its contents seeping dangerously. Clint returns and mentions his retreat to the workshop, seeking solace from the noise. Filled with mounting anxiety, Joanna recalls the hidden poison and retrieves the vial from the trash. Contemplating her next move, she resolves to add it to the wine, unaware that Clint is about to enter the room. Clint surprises Joanna with 2 glasses of wine, and her eyes remain fixed on him as he consumes his meal. Little does he know the peril that awaits him. Oblivious to the danger, Clint proposes a toast, unknowingly sealing his own fate. The poisoned wine finds its way into his system, triggering a sudden and devastating cardiac arrest. In excruciating pain, Clint collapses, desperately pleading for Joanna's assistance. But instead of helping, she callously urges him to end his suffering. Joanna wastes no time and contacts Cortland, confirming the success of their wicked plan. Soon after Sam arrives, they are utterly shocked by the untimely heart attack that has befallen their dear friend. The discarded bottle of poison lies forgotten on the ground in front of Sam, but he doesn't notice it. The sheriff contemplates an autopsy, but Cortland dismisses the idea, urging them to leave the grim scene as Joanna is feeling uneasy. The following morning, Cortland calls the funeral home and requests a quick funeral without embalming, following Joanna's instructions. As the funeral home workers stand ready to perform their duties, they are stopped by the owner, who senses a family's frugality affecting their services and lets the dead body go for a proper funeral. Clint's burial arrangements involve a budget-friendly casket as the funeral plans progress. Amidst the solemn ceremony, the dog's peculiar behavior catches Joanna's attention as she approaches the casket to place her flower, overwhelmed by guilt and shedding tears of remorse. Later that night, Joanna and Cortland find themselves in a bathtub, sharing drinks and reveling in the success of their sinister act, laughter filling the air. The night sky echoes with thunder and lightning, while Duke, the loyal dog, incessantly barks, desperately seeking his owner's presence. Joanna's patience wears thin, and she reaches for a gun, expressing her frustration with Duke. A gunshot shatters the cage door, intended to end Duke's life, but the aim falls short. Duke escapes and embarks on a journey to the cemetery, where he faithfully sits by Clint's grave. To everyone's astonishment, Clint is alive beneath the coffin, the poison's effects fading away. Sensing water trickling on his face, Clint fights to free himself from the confines of the shoddy casket. With desperate force, he breaks through, emerging from his grave to the sight of Duke and the glimmer of hope. Determined, Clint embarks on a slow and arduous journey back home, every step a testament to his resilience. At the threshold of his own house, he witnesses a heartbreaking sight, Joanna locked in a passionate embrace with Cortland. Now aware of the truth, Clint bides his time until Cortland's departure, breaking into the basement through shattered windows. In his weakened state, Clint stumbles down the stairs, seeking shelter and concealment within the basement's sanctuary. The next day, Joanna meets with Clint's lawyer, gaining access to valuable information regarding documents and bank accounts. Willing to sell the company for a substantial sum of $1.5 million, she sets a tight deadline of 48 hours for payment. Meanwhile, Clint awakens in the basement, making his ascent upstairs. Thirsty, he quenches his parched throat at the kitchen sink before satisfying his hunger with provisions from the refrigerator. Mid-meal, Joanna's returning home catches his attention, prompting a swift retreat back to the basement armed with a gun. However, haste betrays him, and he inadvertently drops the shells, necessitating another descent down the stairs to retrieve them. Loaded with determination, Clint readies the gun, poised to confront his unfaithful wife. However, an unexpected interruption breaks the tension. The doorbell rings, announcing the sheriff's arrival to check on Joanna. The sheriff takes a moment to reminisce about Clint's craftsmanship in building the house, raising questions about the "for sale" sign displayed outside. Joanna responds with a dismissive remark, claiming the house feels too small now that Clint is no longer alive. As the sheriff and Joanna discuss the potential sale of the business, Cortland arrives, eager to meet his alleged patient. Clint realizes that he has only one bullet loaded and retreats back to the basement. Meanwhile, Joanna grows increasingly anxious, urging an immediate departure, but Cortland convinces her to wait one more night for the substantial profits from the business sale. In a chilling conversation, they reveal Joanna's past pregnancy and her decision to abort the child to escape Clint's grasp. Clint's anger intensifies, but he opts to remove the shells from his rifle, deeming death by gunshot too merciful. Later that night, while Joanna slumbers, Clint procures a pair of scissors. Cleansing himself and attending to his wounds, he disinfects and bandages his injuries. The following day, a group of individuals arrives with a briefcase brimming with cash, symbolizing the completion of the business sale. Joanna is astounded by the newfound wealth in her hands, eagerly bidding farewell to the businessmen. Overwhelmed with excitement, she envisions a future filled with lavish spending alongside Cortland. Meanwhile, the sheriff hastens to Clint's grave, only to find it desecrated and empty, suspecting the work of an unknown perpetrator. The sheriff takes charge and orders the casket to be transported to his residence, emphasizing the need for secrecy during his investigation. Meanwhile, at Clint's home, Joanna's beaming smile quickly fades as she discovers muddy footprints strewn across the bathroom floor. Growing concerned, she tries to reach Cortland but only reaches his voicemail, leaving a message alerting him to a potential intruder in the house. With a sense of urgency, Joanna retrieves the gun and cautiously heads to the basement. Along the way, Duke, the dog, confronts her with incessant barking, causing her to retreat and retrieve the firearm. Just as she aims to shoot the dog, Clint locks her inside the basement, methodically securing the windows from the outside. In another part of the story, Cortland engages in an eerie conversation with his fish as he gathers more poison from them. Checking his voicemail, he discovers a message from his landlord threatening eviction due to unpaid rent. Upon arriving at Clint's house, he retrieves the syringe filled with poison while calling out for Joanna. Exploring her room, Cortland stumbles upon the briefcase filled with cash. Meanwhile, Joanna regains consciousness after hearing Cortland repeatedly call her name. Mistaking him for the one who startled her earlier, she hides under the stairs and strikes him with a metal rod, causing him to drop the poison syringe. Seizing the opportunity, Joanna seizes the briefcase and attempts to ascend the stairs, only to find Clint blocking her path. Later on, Clint busies himself with bringing wood into the house, seemingly remodeling its interior. Meanwhile, Cortland regains consciousness, and Joanna apologizes for her attack, informing him that someone has trapped them in the house. Cortland tries shooting at the locked door, only to realize that the bullets have been disabled and contain nothing but gunpowder and air. He then attempts to break a wooden window but is deterred by Duke's incessant barking. Upstairs, Clint's remodeling efforts include sawing into walls and destroying a picture of him and Joanna. The next day, Joanna awakens Cortland, revealing that they have been confined for 8 hours. Cortland mistakenly assumes that the man upstairs is Sheriff Sam, believing he is after their ill-gotten gains. Fueled by anger towards the sheriff, Cortland is determined to eliminate him. Meanwhile, Joanna discovers the hidden poison syringe beneath a drawer, realizing Cortland's intention to poison her. Sensing his deceit, Joanna conceals the syringe and implores Cortland to burn all the money as a gesture of true love. However, Cortland refuses, leading to a confrontation where Joanna confronts him about the injection. Cortland admits their dreams of owning a clinic were never real. As they stand on the verge of injecting each other, the basement door opens. Deciding not to waste the poison on themselves, Joanna and Cortland step through the door, only to find the house transformed into an intricate maze-like structure made of wood. Their attempts to find an exit prove futile and tensions rise between them. Meanwhile, Sheriff Sam remains consumed by the case, revisiting the casket and realizing someone broke out of it while testing his theory. Back at Clint's house, Joanna and Cortland argue over their heinous crime, but a wall suddenly materializes between them, separating the two. Cortland catches a glimpse of a shadowy figure at the end of a passage leading to an unblocked window, mistaking it for Sam. Desperate, he tries to bribe the figure with the money. However, it is revealed to be Clint, causing Cortland to stumble onto the briefcase and inadvertently inject himself with the poison from the syringe. Shortly after, Joanna finds herself trapped between Clint and a small hatch. Crawling through the hatchway, she follows a narrow passage that abruptly leads to a dead end, sealing her fate as Clint shuts her inside. Clint finally reveals his presence to Joanna, evoking the painful memory of their aborted child and inquiring about its gender. He proceeds to place the lifeless Cortland and the money inside a large wooden coffin, sealing it shut. With vengeance in his heart, Clint douses the house with gasoline and ignites it using a flare. He loads the coffin onto his truck, accompanied by his loyal dog, and drives away. Sam arrives at the scene and, after the fire is extinguished, finds no traces of any bodies. When he returns to the cemetery, he encounters a man standing near Clint's filled-in grave, leading to an intriguing conversation between the two. In a surprising turn of events, Sam recognizes his friend Clint but denies any knowledge of him, warning him to stay away from the cemetery. Accepting the message, Clint reluctantly leaves in his truck. As the film nears its conclusion, a shocking revelation unfolds. Inside Clint's grave, Joanna is alive but trapped, accompanied by the lifeless body of Cortland and the ill-gotten money. Joanna's desperate cries for help go unanswered, painting a grim picture of her fate and marking the end of the movie.
I hope you enjoyed the recap. If so, then give this video a thumbs up. And yes, if you want to be the first to know about my new videos, hit the subscribe button right now. It may seem worthless to you, but it is a huge motivator for me to keep going. I'll see you in my next video. Have fun and keep watching the Movie Explainer.